All right, welcome to another episode of The Real Shot 256. And this is Evening Crypto. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. I just want to give a quick update to you all. There hasn't been a whole lot of action in the price of Bitcoin lately. So, there's not a whole lot to talk about there, but still, I think it's still good to just kind of do an update on, some of the things that we talked about from my previous video. If you guys want to go back and check that out from last night, the November 19th. Today is the 20th, and just want to do a continuing update of what we talked about last night. Also, there's a couple of things that I want to mention as far as news goes that are sort of time worthy. So just want to briefly cover those and touch upon those, and then we can definitely have a debate down below in the comments. So I'll get started with the usual rundown of the market cap. We're currently sitting at 220 billion. 24-hour volume has increased a little bit to about 68 billion. And dominant, well, we're just going to stick to what TradingView is letting us know, or what TradingView is telling us as far as Bitcoin dominance. And we're currently sitting at 68 and a half, right? We seem to be on this descending trend. Although we did save this previous pivot at around 67.75. So I don't know. We might have a change in trend here from the previous high of 73 and almost in a half%. All right. So real briefly, let's actually cover some of the news. The Fed Reserve evaluating Mr. Powell said they're evaluating a dollar-backed digital currency, or a federal, what they call a CBDC, Federal Reserve backed digital currency, right? So as of today, or as of a letter, Jesus Christ, in a November 19th letter responding to questions from lawmakers Representative French Hill from Arkansas and Representative Bill Foster in late September, Powell said that the Fed has noted the efforts of other nations to explore a CBDC option, and that it continues to carefully analyze the costs and benefits of pursuing such an initiative in the U.S. In their letter to Powell, Hill and Foster had expressed concerns over the potential risk to the dollar if another nation or private company creates a widely used cryptocurrency, and asked whether the central bank is pursuing such an option. Something's wrong here. Is looking to pursue such an option. Namely, I think what these guys are saying, Mr. Hill and Mr. Foster, are referring to, I think, what Mark Zuckerberg was saying last month about how, if they do not allow and stifle the launch of LibreCoin, then somebody else is going to, namely China, launch a state-backed cryptocurrency. And this seems like a very opportunistic time to really put it on the Federal Reserve Chairman, Mr. Powell, and put some pressure on this development, right? Namely because, again, the U.S. does not want to fall behind what China is doing and what other countries have reportedly said to be working on, namely regarding a state-backed cryptocurrency. So while the U.S. central bank is looking at whether a fully digital dollar would offer benefits to the U.S., Powell said that the Fed is not actively developing one. I don't know. We've seen the Fed do a lot of things behind curtains, and they say one thing, but they do another thing, right? So, I'm not sure if I want to believe what he's saying here. Further, a digital national currency may not offer advantages to the U.S. that it may do to other nations. As an example, some countries have seen a rapid migration by customers away from cash, while demands for cash in the U.S. remains robust. Namely, I think he's talking about countries like Sweden, who have, mostly depleted all of their cash circulation out of the hands of people, and moved into a more digital and credit card based or debit card based money system. Powell said, similarly, payment systems in some jurisdictions may be slow and unreliable, and a digital fiat may offer an improvement for consumers. On the other hand, payments in the US are innovative and competitive, and consumers have no shortage of options, according to Powell. Sounds like an excuse. Introducing a digital dollar would also raise important questions regarding law, monetary policy, financial stability, and namely monetary policy, right? Because if they, if they say do want to launch a CBDC, what are they trying to mimic? Well, a cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a fixed monetary policy. It is hard money, and it is based on a programmable system that is I don't want to say unlikely, because it's more like almost impossible to change the monetary policy within a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. So they may have to abide by something like more of a harder set monetary policy with the US dollar, which would limit the ability for them to, in some ways, manipulate the dollar. So questions regarding law, monetary policy, financial stability, regulation, and operations. The Fed chief said, for example, would a general purpose CBDC be classed as a legal tender, classified as legal tender, and what are the rights and obligations of participants in such a system? Yeah, true. I mean, good questions and all, but it just sounds like clutter, just to not give a straight answer. I do, in my opinion, I do believe that they are working on something. They're more than just looking into it and just doing a little bit of research on such a thing. I think they're further into this process than they lead people on to believe. All right, second thing, and leave the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this. See if you guys have an opinion on that. Would love to hear you guys' opinion on that. So the second thing is Mr. Spencer Dinwiddie is it plays for the Brooklyn NETS, an NBA team here in the U.S. And he might just become the most popular sports figure in cryptocurrency land. As per the bit of news that we have seen, I've actually been hearing about this sort of thing for a little bit now. So as of mid-September 2019, NBA point guard Spencer Dinwiddie has revealed plans to tokenize his contract. The contract worth $34 million over the past 3 years. Over the, I guess, next 3 years actually would constitute of a first ever in the NBA. The tokenization of the first NBA contract explains Spencer Dinwiddie is a 26-year-old point guard for the Brooklyn Nets. On his Instagram page, Dinwiddie says he is just a tech guy with a jumper. Apparently, his tech interest extends into the blockchain realm. Dinwiddie is trying to tokenize his upcoming NBA contract. The deal is said to be worth about $34 million over the next 3 years, but the extent of the contract to be tokenized has yet to be released. So here's how the deal is expected to work. The contract will be tokenized and bond-backed mainly by the balance left on his contract. Will be backed, bond. That's basically what there's meaning by bond backed, right? It will be secured by the remainder value of the contract in the next 3 years. Security tokens will be sold. In this way, Dinwiddie will receive the majority of his contract up front and not through his 3-year duration. Investors will receive guaranteed returns over the 3-year period, with their principal being paid, and as well as interest on top of that. The dividends will likely be paid out during the timeline of which the Brooklyn Nets would normally release the money. And the idea is that the investments received by Dinwiddie will be reinvested. By the time the money is to be paid out in the future, the investments, if all goes well, will have grown to a larger amount. In this way, the Nets paid Dinwiddie the same amount, while, if successful, Dinwiddie and investors see a profit. In addition, a player contract blockchain technology is speculated to reach other aspects of professional sports. The most popular facet includes gambling. Yet Harbor CEO Josh Stein has previously revealed that professional sports teams have expressed interest in tokenizing team ownership. not a bad idea. And you know, when somebody asks what is blockchain all about and what is these cryptocurrencies, you know, what are they bringing? How are they improving our daily lives? Well, that is actually one huge use case, is the fact that you can pretty much tokenize a lot of meaningful, a lot of useful things. Uh, Obviously, you don't want to token, and not everything can be and will be tokenized, but these and certainly anything that has to do with investments and now sports figure contracts can also possibly be tokenized. The problem I see with this is that he is the sort of setup that he's going for is and can be used for speculation, and that can fall into the hands and jurisdiction of the SEC. So, I mean, just think of the legalities involved and all the regulatory framework that has to be done prior to launching such a contract, a tokenized contract, because again, it would fall under, I believe, in the jurisdiction of the SEC. So, if that is something that could and you know, is something that is fixing to happen, I don't see that happening anytime soon. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments again, and we'll continue the conversation in any shape, in any way. I do think that this is definitely more advertisement for the crypto sphere. It just raises eyebrows and it causes people to look into this sort of thing, and also, you know, look into what you know, tokenizing means. How did that come about, and what sort of technology, obviously based on blockchain technology, which was brought forth again by Bitcoin. So definitely do think that that is a sort of news that will only help the crypto sphere. All right, so let me know down below, guys. So let's get into the charts real quick. We'll start off obviously with Bitcoin. Based on my last update, I gave you guys sort of a more of a longer term scenario here, where if we were, let's actually play with that again one more time. And I used a daily candle for that. But let's actually start working on this. Shouldn't take too much time here. Let's actually zoom in a little bit, or yeah, zoom out a little bit, and play with the little trend lines here. And also, we had this guy here to help us measure. Did it the wrong way again. Here we go. Pivot high, pivot low. There we go. All right, so we were talking about the you know, typical Bitcoin fashion, right? Previous retracements have actually led from, you know, from all the way to the parabolic top, all the way down to within the 236, and you know, within this red area here, Bitcoin can and will and usually does retrace all the way into this area. So, and what we were talking about last night is that, you know, even if we do come and actually come back down to these levels, it's still something that, you know, would not freak me out personally. I wouldn't get absolute doomsday bearish unless we actually break below this ascending line of support that is coming back from all the way back to, I mean, that can be traced all the way back to like 2015. So, and again, two things, right? We do have this ascending line of support coming in here, and we also know that if Bitcoin does retrace into and below the 236, we're still okay. We're still within the realm of things. We're still within, you know, Bitcoin's typical, you know, retracement fashion. So if we do get in here again, I'm not, you know, I'm still not too worried about it. Now, we did have a retest of the 382 here and had a nice bounce to the tune of about 43% run up after that, after we touched this 382 here, fib level, within the golden pocket or golden zone, however you want to address that. And then we skyrocketed after that. Then we have also, you know, right away begun a correction phase that has lasted about 25 days or so. And here we are currently. But again, we could just be grinding our way down into this area here. Again, if we break this will only mean that we're breaking below this trend here, which again can be this is the macro trend, sort of ascending triangle, and then we have a falling wedge or falling channel here, leading the way down into these these bottom areas, which again would still constitute Bitcoin setting a higher low over this previous pivot here, and then again quite possibly we'd have a bounce right in this region here. I don't want to say that we get all the way down to the 4,000 range. I do think we'll be picked up prior to that, but again, that's just my opinion. That's just what I'm thinking at the current moment, based on this price action. For the time being, there's two things. I do think this run has been pretty extended, right? I mean, this downtrend this correction here has been pretty extended. I mean, from about November 9th, right? We got into the bearish control zone, and we've just been sunken into the bearish control zone here for the last, call it about 11, 12 days. This whole trend has lasted about, I don't know, about maybe 26 days or something. Let's actually measure this. Going on 26 days, right? So going on 26 days. And then again, the RSI is letting us know that, for the last almost 2 weeks, the RSI has just been down in the bearish territory. So, again, I don't like to say that it's oversold and it's time to buy, because there can be continuation to the downside, even though the RSI is letting us know that we're currently oversold. Again, it just goes back to really back up and support the theory that you shouldn't really believe or buy too much into the term oversold, because it can still go down further, even though we have been extendedly in the bearish control zone, right? Hope that made sense. So again, we are resting above the 377 right here, currently below the 200. That is worrisome. Again, I did place this sort of trend line here on the micro trend, and we broke below it. So we're currently living below it, and although we did wick above it or back into it earlier today, over here maybe, it's all the same. Although we did wick into it, we did not sustain, and we actually got rejected and came back down below this previous line of support, and now it is acting as resistance. Now, if we can get above it here and get back on top of this descending line of previous support, and actually turn it into support again, then we start to change our tune, and we start to get a little bit more confident in regards to a possible bounce in the shorter term of things. And if we do that, then the conversation turns to this sort of possible retest around, call it about 9,300, 9,400. But again, nothing has been confirmed yet. Not until we start to climb. Again, one of the indicators is, not until we start climbing out of the bearish control zone and into more of the neutral zone here. And again, the 21 will be a test. We might get initially rejected off of there, but if we do continue on further up, then this move to 9,300 could potentially play out. Not saying that it is going to, I'm not saying that that's a guarantee. I'm just saying this could quite potentially play out. Again, if we have to have the volume, which we don't have currently. We're definitely trading volume is definitely lackluster, and we are living underneath the volume exponential here. So not a good sign. As long as we remain tamed by this exponential here on the volume indicator, I don't think that we have a significant run. So once we start getting above it, then that'll be one of the things to look for. Also, the RSI to get back into the neutral control area. Again, the retest of the 21, if we get above that'll also be a great sign of continuation. And then we might potentially see Bitcoin run up into this ascending line of support. If we do get above it, we are going to have a big test right around this area here. Let's actually put a box on here, because where is my, here we go. Is that it? No, where is my drawing tool? There we go. All right, so if we get above this, then this will be big area of contention right here. If we can get above, I can put a little flag. We're going to get little Bob Ross in here and put a little price label here. Yep, there we go. About 10.3 is really where I'm looking for. Come on, let's get into 10.3. Come on. There we go. All right, so that's where I'll be looking for as far as, you know, the big area of contention here, because again, this previous wick here is leading us to understand that the fact that you know, this is where we got ultimately rejected from and started to have a correction off of 10.3. But again, if we do break above this descending line of resistance, then that could potentially mean that we finish a move around 10.3. That's where I would be looking to de-risk off of my positions, which I have already entered. I've been telling you guys for a while that I had set my buying orders after this move, set my buying orders around 82, 8300, then decided to move them up. I did leave my 82, 8300 and actually entered an 8100 buying order. But I started buying in around 8600, 8650 or somewhere in that range. And again, it started just buying below the 200 up until the retest of the 377. And this is kind of where I am definitely hoping for a bounce. I'm definitely committed at this point, so I'm definitely hoping that we do get this bounce. But again, it's going to start with some volume and also the RSI getting back into the control zone, which again, this is extended. This run has been extended into their territory. So you know, at some point, like we do here, see, we did have an extension here. We finally got back into it. What was the last time we did that? I mean, it's been a while since we've done that. This kind of sort of maybe can work, and then this run down here, you know, back when we did that big dip from high 5,000, 6,000 levels to the 3,000 and 4,000, $3,000 levels. So I am looking again for a rather sooner rather than later bounce, although it's going to be a short-term bounce. I do believe, again, we have plenty of room to go downward again. This is definitely a possibility that we continue. Again, we continue in this trend, setting these lower highs, right? Unless we do see again a change in trend. Change in trend would mean that again we break above this. That would also indicate that it could be a possible change in trend, get into this 10.3 area, and just depending on what happens there, again, that could be confirmation that we are in a change of trend. But as long as we're living within this formation here long term, under this descending line of resistance, I don't think that anything significant is going to happen, right? Unless we break above it and start making a higher high over this previous pivot high, then we start thinking, okay, there might be a paradigm shift in the market, and at that point we'll start talking about a possible retest of 20,000, right? We'll start talking about that. But as of right now, again, we are in this descending trend, this macro trend, and again, I do expect a bounce here, but ultimately we should find a descending continuation of a descending trend. Now, also keep in mind, look at this. We're looking at the daily. We are also, once again, we had this looming death cross here between the 55 and 200 EMA, and we also have that here again one more time, although this time around is a little bit closer to actually playing out. So if we are going to find a bounce, we better do it quick and try to avoid this death cross here between the green 55 and the 200 EMA. Otherwise, doomsday may come a bit sooner. I do believe if this plays out in this green 55 exponential EMA here breaks below the 200, I do think we are going to see a harsher move, a more violent move into this previous pivot high or pivot low here at 7,300, and then again, we were just talking about this, getting into these lower levels here, continuation to the downside, right? But there's plenty of room, plenty of time to see this play out. As I was telling you guys, I got a little impatient with my buying orders, thinking that I should move them up, and I entered my buying orders at a higher price, and I should have just stuck to my guns. So be disciplined. Don't be like me. Be disciplined. Stick with your guns. If you believe in your TA, why not? Right? Just keep that in your pocket, and stand your ground. All right, so that is Bitcoin. Again, expecting a bounce sooner rather than later. Let's look at Ethereum. Let's do a little bit more of a bit more in-depth analysis. We're still looking at the daily here, living below the 200 again. The 55 and the 200 did cross back here back in August 27th, and it's just been kind of sort of grinding it out here. But not having not a real bounce or real reaction to anything. The 55 is also coming in as resistance and pushing the price down below into lower territory. I do like this though. I can't say that this is looking bad at all. I do like this. Sort of setting another triangle here. Which I do think, I mean, it does look like this is legitimate, right? So once we get to about this point here, say around second week of December 9th and forward, I do think that we could potentially see Ethereum play a move, whether it's it breaking down or breaking out of this formation. I do think that is a looming possibility. Again, as long as Bitcoin continues to trade within this current trend, where we are currently sitting, if we even if we have a bounce, obviously that will only help Ethereum's case to have another retest of this previous line of resistance here. And just depending on what happens there, we do have a previous pivot that will also act as resistance here. Well, let's actually change the color. Make sure everybody stays on the same page. These red lines mean resistance points. And let's actually clean it up a bit, since we are a little far underneath these previous pivots, right? But again, if we break above this line here, then the 200 will be coming in confluence with this previous area of support here in the next couple of days. This 200 should actually get into the right where the 200 is coming in at $194.62. But once in a couple of days, this 200 should meet with that previous pivot that will also act as resistance. So and again, also this also seems, let's see here, yeah, we do seem to be making lower highs. So if we are to change our mind and sort of change the tune on things, then we should see Ethereum break through this. And even if we stop at the 200, where the 200 might be coming in, that still could potentially mean that we did set a higher high. So again, continuation of an uptrend, right? So let's look for that. But also definitely, keep in mind that these areas are going to act as resistance. Stay around 188, 187 should be areas of resistance, and also meaning that we're staying within the current trend, which is within this triangle here. All right, and again, from sometime from December 9th, if Bitcoin just stays within the same trend, then sometime around December 9th and forward, we should see a decisive move in Ethereum. Not to say that is guaranteed, but again, that is something to be expected. All right, let's actually look at Litecoin. Do we want to get a little granular? Again, just on before we move on from Ethereum, again, the RSI is just now getting into the bullish or bearish control zone. and did set sort of a lower low here, but setting a lower high here. This could be bearish divergence. This could be bearish divergence. Could be, but no. I mean, I don't want to say that that's the case, but you know, we'd have to wait and see what happens. We'd have to wait and see what happens. All right. So okay. All right. Let's actually get a little bit more granular. Let's look at the 4-hour. 4-hour is being tamed by the 21 here within the RSI, but it's still trying to get into the more neutral area of the RSI stochastic here. Again, that retest of the 21 will be a first area of contention here, and you know, we'll have to figure things out after that. That is the 4-hour. All right, let's actually go to Litecoin. Start with the daily and where we currently stand. So again, extended into the bearish control zone here within the RSI on the daily, meaning that there's going to have to be a lot of work done by the bulls if we actually want to turn this around. Again, as with Ethereum, I do like this, you know, setting a higher low. Although, see the divergence here. I do not like this. Again, we're going to have to turn this thing around pretty quickly within the week if we are to avoid this playing out. We do have a lower low here, a higher low on price action, but a lower low on the RSI. So that's not a good sign. Not a good sign. Let's actually look at the 4-hour and see what the 4-hour is telling us. See if we do find any sort of confluence there. Yeah, this pivot low and this pivot low, price action is lower. Yeah, there's some definite divergence. I don't trust this right now. Again, above my my trading threshold, not something I really want to get into at this very moment with Litecoin. I do want to see this play out before we actually make a commitment to actually want to get into a trade with Litecoin. So I would advise against it, but again, not financial advice. I'm just sharing my opinion, and you guys can do whatever you guys want. All right, that's what I got. That's what I got for Litecoin. Let's actually bring these back and take those away. Yeah, I mean, it's just a very bearish posture overall. I mean, living underneath every major and simple moving average, nothing to really get excited about. Just more continuation, more grinding of this, of what we see here. Again, I do like the fact that we are sort of in a ascending support line, also confluent with this previous pivot low here and this lower or higher low, also confluent with that as well. So I do like these two things, but again, I do think it's you know, it's going to continue to grind this out. Again, as long as we don't break below this previous pivot, we'll be all right. I mean, I don't think we're going to get into the high 40s with Litecoin at all. I do think that we're going to hold higher levels for a while. BNB also, same as Ethereum, same as Litecoin, still setting higher lows. We are extended. I mean, there's been quite a bit of volatility with BNB. But again, we seem to be in an extended stay down here within the bearish control zone. I do think, you know, a lot of these things are, you know, time-wise. I mean, look at in the past, right? Look at how long they've been extendedly in a whether it's an upward trend or downward trend. Look at how far they've been, or for how long they've stayed in a certain region or area. You know, not that long, especially for BNB, right? So, I mean, this seems far extended to me. Hopefully, this will turn into a bounce here. Again, we do want to see the volume jump on top of this exponential here within the volume indicator, and that could also potentially signal a pretty violent move as well. Okay, I do like, again, I do like the fact that we are on an ascending trend here, but we are definitely due for a bounce. All right, let's look at actually Link USDT. Same sort of thing, but in a more of an extended way. This is more significant also as well. And also, I gave you guys my opinion last night on Link. I told you guys I wouldn't invest in it just yet. It did seem like we did have a little bit more room to go to the downside. We were trading above 170, 172, I think 173 last night, and we actually came back down to test, what was it, 262, 263 area earlier today. And again, I did enter a short trade on Link based on what I've seen here. This lower this pivot low here, and then setting another quick lower high. Am I saying that right? Yeah, lower high, right? I don't know why I'm getting confused here with my terms. But yeah, actually no, a higher low. That's the term I was looking for, a higher low. So yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, setting a higher low, and I told you guys that last night I didn't want to just enter a trade right then and there, right around this point here. It did seem like things wanted to turn around and come back and retest this previous low back here at 259 before actually having a bounce. We did get rejected off the 21, which I was telling you guys about as well. We might get rejected off the 21 and come back and retest, which we are having. Now it is trying to flatten out here within the RSIs, the stochastic here. It is trying to flatten out, which would be a good thing for the price link. We could potentially stabilize here, grind a little bit before we start to move our way up. As again, as full transparency, I did enter a trade recently around 267. So I am putting my money where my mouth is. I do think, again, as long as we're above the 200, also the 200 EMA, there is a high potential that we could have a continuation to the upside. Not saying that we're going to go back all the way to $3 again, but we could have a short-term temporary bounce, and who doesn't like to get some gains off of those, right? Okay, so that is Link. We'll do Cardano here. Cardano seems to be in the same sort of wavelength as other alts. This previous low, continuing to set these higher lows, although we did break this trend here, or what seemed to be a trend, which I do believe this was a trend. We tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally broke down below it on the 5th try. So that was a trend. And always remember, once we break down below a trend, that's usually followed by a meaningful move below that previous trend line. Currently living below every major and simple moving average, is looking pretty bearish. Although again, I do expect that the whole market to have a short bounce relatively soon. So this could be the turning point on a short-term basis for Cardano and a lot of alts. Out of all these alts, XLM Lumens actually looks sort of the worst. I mean, we definitely don't want to lose this previous pivot here at 0.063. If we lose that, then we could potentially come all the way down here to 0.057. Yeah. So let's actually do this. What do we do? Oh, wrong one. I'll just try to do this quick and we'll wrap it up. All right, there we go. Let's actually change that to green. We definitely don't want to lose this green line, and we definitely the reason why is because we could potentially come back and retest 0.058. Okay. All right. So again, we are expecting that bounce on a relatively soon basis. So this could be saved, right? This could still turn around. VeChain looking still pretty bullish to me. Still looking pretty. It does look like it wants to have a bounce. We are above the 200. which is great, always great. I'll look at the daily here on this guy. We did have the three black crows here, and we're actually bouncing out of the 21. So this is actually pretty bullish out of all the alts that we've seen here. Link and VET look the more promising. We do have the 377 here, which will definitely act as resistance on the way up. But the fact that we did defend the 21 and stayed above it on the daily is a pretty good indicator. I will actually be looking out for VET to see if I can enter myself into a trade. We're still within the neutral control zone. Look at the volume here. Although the buying volume is definitely lacking here, but as of recent, we've had plenty of buyers and sellers coming to VeChain. And hopefully we can continue on that trend, and hopefully we can continue to have more buyers coming and buy this thing up. All right, okay, guys. We'll wrap it up here. Again, I want to continue to thank those who actually signed up to subscribe to the channel to receive these notifications and these updates. I do want to thank you and welcome you to the community. It is a pleasure to have you. It is an honor to have you. Namely, I want to thank Guy Williamson for signing up, Crypto Steve for always staying engaged with the community. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your time. I hope that you got something in return in exchange for your time here today. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. Please also remember to hit the like button if you did get something out of this video. All right, we'll see you on the next one, guys.